Welcome back once again, friends. In this video, we shall continue our journey into the world of Python. We have already learned about the print statement. In this video, we are going to learn about a new statement called the input statement. We are going to learn more about the print statement, and also we are going to see how we can organize our Python code in a nice way. So let's get started. Remember, in the last video, we had learned about the print statement and we printed a command called print hello world, how are you? Now, as a result of this, when I run this, I see on the screen hello world, how are you? Now, let's say I want to ask user some input. I want to kind of interact with the user whoever is in front of the screen. I want to sort of interact with the user and probably ask for user's name. How do I do that? The answer really is the input command. But before I go there, I'm going to take you back to Scratch because there's a very interesting similar block in Scratch which can help us understand this much better. Recall in Scratch, in the sensing section, there was a block called ask what's your name and wait, right? So when I do this, for example, so when I do, let's say, ask what's your name and wait, and I run this, notice what happens is that Sprite asks me what is your name, and then it waits for me to input, right? Which means nothing is going to happen until I put my reply. So let's say in this case, I do and give my reply, say my name is Vineet. So I click enter. Now what the sprite does is that it takes my answer, it takes my reply and puts this inside this box called answer, right? So we have seen this before. Now the reason I brought this up here is because the input block in Python is in fact very similar to the ask and wait block in Scratch. So let's go back to the Python code and see how this thing works. So I've got a code here, print hello world, how are you? Now let's say I add in one more line here and I say input what is your name. Now when I do this and I let's say run this command, what happens is that I get I get hello world, how are you? And now it's asking me what is your name. It is waiting for me to input, say Vineet or whatever my name might be, right? So if I click Vineet, the code ends because we have not told anything to be happening beyond this, right? Now while this part is extremely similar to Scratch, there is actually a small little difference in the sense that in Scratch, whatever we replied got stored in this variable called answer. We have seen this before. However, now we have a choice. We can choose to name this variable anything we want, right? So there's remember variables like boxes. So what we are telling is that look, sprite, the interpreter, we want this thing to be called as say player. Right now, I could have named it pretty much anything. I could call it player name. I could have called it user name, whatever is meaningful. But here I'm just going to call it player, and I'm saying player is equal to input what is your name, right? So now when I do this, when I do this thing, when I run this, again the code runs, it asks me what's my name, and now I say Vineet. The difference now is that this interpreter, this program has a variable, has a box where this name has been stored, and that box is called player. Now, for the moment, let's just go back to Scratch to see how we can use this, and that brings me to this, very useful, very interesting command called join apple banana. So for example, I wanted my cat sprite to greet me with my name, to say hello Vineet. So what we did was that we did say, let's say, say something, and in the operators I used join apple banana to say, let's say hello, and then over here we put this block called answer. We just dragged and drop here, right? Now amazingly, we can do something very similar in Python. So let's see. So I do this, I get hello Vineet, right? Now remember that so this is very similar to what we are going to do in Python, because we already have a print statement which is like C. We already have a variable created which is just like answer. Now we just need an equivalent of this join apple banana, and in fact that is an extremely simple command, as simple as saying print. Remember, print is like my say. I can say hello and then comma player. Now if I did this, what's going to happen is that this is just like join apple banana, hello and answer, right? So if I did this, notice what happens is that it says what's your name, I answer Vineet, and this guy replies me hello Vineet. Why did that happen? Because remember, my name Vineet got stored in this variable called player. When I said hello player, it printed out hello Vineet for me. Now this takes me to my next topic for this video, which is that, like I said, we are going to explore a little bit more about the print statement. So now Notice previously we were giving just one string to Python to the print statement. And how do I know that? Well, because I had an inverted comma starting here, right? I had a quotation mark starting here, and that quotation mark ended over here when the print statement ended. So there was really just one thing given to the print statement, but now we are giving multiple things, and the way we do that is by putting a comma, right? And like I said, this is exactly like join apple banana. So this comma is acting like join apple banana. We can print many things using this commas, right? However, I again want to caution you for a few things that you must be careful about. Remember that the first mistake that could happen is that you may end up writing player as, let's say, with a big P. Now, to me and you, perhaps it is okay because we understand what you're trying to say. But remember, this code is being interpreted by the Python interpreter, and it's going to get confused because the player that you defined here had a small p, but now you are giving a name with a big P, so it will not know what to do with it. And in fact, if we did this, we are going to get a syntax error. As we can see here, I do this, and notice I say, I get an error saying the name player with the big P is not defined, right? Now, this is one lesson we have to learn, that everything that we define, everything that we write here is case sensitive, which means we have to be matching the exact case, as we had done earlier, right? So if you had, let's say, defined this variable also with a big P, then there's no problem, because again, this guy will understand that what you meant. So here, if I, let's say, I did answer Vineet, it's going to say hello Vineet, because notice this player and this player are exactly matching, right? But by convention, I'm going to just keep it as small player, and I'm going to make this also as a player, right? Now, another thing that might happen, and this is a quite interesting thing actually, sometimes you may be tempted to write it like, let's say, like this, right? Now, how is this going to get interpreted, right? Well, the thing is that the player here, remember, anything inside the inverted quotes is going to get written as it is, right? Just like in the say block in Scratch, right? So now what's going to happen is that if I did this, right? If I ran this code, I'm going to say, it's asking me what's your name. I say Vineet, and it says hello player. Why does it say hello player? Because I have put my player inside an inverted quote. So the print statement just takes this entire thing and puts it over here, right? So we can put multiple things, but if we want to, for example, have the value of the player being displayed here, then I should not put this, this inverted quotes, right? So if I did this now, it's going to take the variable player and going to say, let's say I say hello, my name is Vineet. It says hello Vineet, right? So that's something you have to be a little bit careful about. But on this note, we can actually put, let's say, we can put something like this, right? You can play, say Vineet, and I can now go and put, so over here, I can put how are, you, let's say. So I can say, hello Vineet, how are you? So notice I put three things in here. Hello, which will be printed as it is. Player, because it matches this variable name, I'm going to put the value of the variable, which means whatever I entered. The third part, which is how are you, will be printed as it is, right? So if I did this, let's just see this for ourselves. I say hello Vineet, right? And says hello Vineet, how are you? Now we are going to obviously go a little bit deeper into the print statement going forward, but for now, this is just fine. Now I just want to highlight to you something about the way we organize our code, the way this code is running, right? Now it must be obvious, but this is actually also quite similar to Scratch. So if you just go back to Scratch, what happens when we click the flag is that this set of statements start executing in exactly this order. So first say hello world, then ask, then say, and so on and so forth. The same exact thing is happening here. When we click this run, we first execute this statement, then the next statement, then the next statement, and so on and so forth. Now, interestingly, let's say I gave some kind of blank lines between these, right? So let's say I wrote my code like this. Amazingly, the interpreter is going to just ignore all these lines. So the code is going to behave exactly the same way as though there were no lines, right? So, you know, uh, so it says, hello, Vineet, how are you? Yeah, so these lines are going to get ignored. You might wonder, why would I ever give these lines? And you are right, probably, but there is a use, because many times we introduce comments in our codes. And this is important, and we can introduce a comment by using the hashtag, and I can say this is a comment. Right now here, we can write anything that we want to. It need not follow the Python syntax, because when the code runs, this particular thing is going to get ignored, right? Of course, in Scratch also we could add comments, but here, many times, because being a text based, we should get used to writing comments, and the way we write comments is this hashtag, right? So let's say I say my name is Vineet. Notice this comment did not have any influence, right? So while we can give as many gaps in the lines as we want, but I make want to make it very, very clear to you that you must, okay, you must not give extra spaces on the left side, right? Because this has a special meaning in Python. We will look at this. This is called indentation. This will cause problems, so do not do this. But you can give as many blank lines. I mean, in the sense, I must be careful here. We will do it. We will do indentation, but intentionally so. So when we are writing, lines like this, make sure that every line starts from the leftmost extreme, because otherwise there could be some confusion in the code, right? So to summarize, we learned about the input statement, we learned a little bit more about print, and we also learned that we could give blank lines in between, and we must use comments, but we have to be careful about indentation. We will come back to all of this as we go forward. I hope you're enjoying this journey. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.